Well, hello again, YouTube. Today I had a little misadventure, if you will, with my van. In this box is a new fuel pump and sending unit. I happen to be on one of the many roads in Windsor that happen to be rather busy, and the fuel pump stopped working. So, rather than dropping the tank, I'm going to do this in a little bit different method. I'm going underneath the van right now, and I'm going to find a specific spot, and then I'm going to drill up through the floor of the van, use a jigsaw, cut the floor of the van out to change the fuel pump. Rather than dropping the tank, I'm thinking that this is going to save me a little bit of time here. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to stick this drill underneath and make a hole and hopefully not hit any of my material in here. I see a hole right here. That's good. That's going to be easy to work on. Alright, I'm going to bust. I got the jigsaw ready to go here, and I'm going to start cutting this floor. Well, I began cutting, obviously, by the way, I just want to point out that it is pouring rain, just so it figures. I started cutting with the jigsaw, and I was worried about going too deep with the blade, so I was trying to hold the bottom plate of the jigsaw up off the floor. I ended up breaking the blade, so now I'm just switching to a cutting disc on the angle grinder, and I'm going to cut my way through the rest of it. Probably not a good idea to do that over a gas tank, but I've got a fire extinguisher nearby, so that's all I gotta say. I don't know. That's it. I'm just gonna give this thing a cut. I'm putting on my safety glasses, and we're gonna see where we can get. So the access hatch I cut, you can see the fuel lines coming in. They go underneath the protective metal plate, which is, I think, a good thing in this case. So now that I'm clear of those fuel lines, I'm just going to continue my cut across and open up the other half of this so I have access all the way around to this fuel pump. So it's just that rubber really stinks when I cut it. So I've just been putting a mask on to try to keep that smell out of my lungs. Obviously it's not working, so I've got both doors open on the van just to help some ventilation get through here, but I'm just trying to get this done as quickly as I can because it's still Monday morning and I do need this van. So, alrighty, I know this is kind of looking like a surgery gone wrong or something, but it's working faster than dropping this tank. Not only that, I'm not getting wet in the rain. So, finding the lines was one story. I didn't know how far they went into the tank. There's no way for me to tell from underneath the van from just looking. So what I had to do was I started where I could see the lines, and I've basically followed them in. So that's where these extra flaps came into play. Now notice I haven't actually cut anything away and removed any material from the floor, because my intentions are just to fold everything back down when I'm finished and just tech screw it all together. It's the floor of the van, so realistically, if I just put a patch on top of this, I've got some stainless, and then if I was to put a big piece of plywood, say 1/4 inch plywood around here, with some roofing tar underneath, I don't think I'm going to have any issues. I'm not too concerned with moisture or anything getting in the van. Like I said, it's an old van, and if you've watched any videos previous, you know, like, it's got 455,000 K on it or something along those lines, so it's not exactly a new vehicle, but you know, you gotta get it done. You gotta get it done. What can you do? Speaking of which, this is much easier to do with two hands. So I will show you the next update. Once I got this shield out of the way there you can see the fuel pump or the sending unit. So I'm just gonna clean all the shit off of here, so I can then open the locking nut that holds this fuel pump and sending unit in there and lift it out. I just want to sweep this stuff out of the way. I don't want all the debris to end up inside the tank. So this is a good opportunity to pull out the part that you got and make sure that they're both going to be the same. So here's the part that I picked up. So facing this the same way, it looks pretty damn close. Yeah, we'll see what we end up with, if there's any adapters or anything. I see one plug that actually looks different, but we'll see what happens. Well, the rain is still pouring down, and here I am splicing the new harness in. It actually came with a new harness and wiring diagram to adapt the old harness to the new, which is kind of a nice touch for once. Usually they just like to leave you guessing, and you're shit out of luck at that point. Can't see nothing. But I'm just putting the last couple butt splices together, and then this, I'm going to pull out the, I'm going to pop the fuel lines off, I'm going to pull out the actual the sender with the pump attached, and drop the new assembly into place. Well, gotta go. So I'm just in the process of disconnecting these little spring clips that hold the fuel lines in place. Trying to be delicate with it too. I shouldn't have any pressure left, but for some reason I have this sneaking suspicion that when I try to release the main pressure line, I'm going to get sprayed with gas. So I've got a rag sitting around. I'm just going to be throwing that over top when I pull that line out, so I'm not to get sprayed in the face, or it doesn't go on my light and ignite and blow my ass up. So, you know, little things like that that keep me sane. So I'm going to disconnect the last couple fuel lines, and then I'm going to show you guys how this snap ring, or how this locking ring pops out in order to pull out the sending unit. Well, I was actually able to remove the snap ring. I thought it was going to be a twisting mechanism on my S10. It's a collar that fits around the sending unit first, and actually you have to hammer it into place, and it fits under these fingers and locks the sending unit down. This is a different design. I mean, my S10's a 93, this thing's a 98, so I was just, I don't know, that was my guess, is that they were going to be the same, but as I got closer and looked, I noticed that it was just a snap ring, which is sensible. I mean, that's all you really need to hold this thing in place. So now, it should be free of the tank, and now I've swept the debris out of the way. Try to pop this guy out. Ooh, pretty. I feel like I'm caught up on something here. Oh, it's going to be the float that's going to be stuck somewhere. I'm going to put the camera down because I can't really see when I'm doing this, and I don't want to lose it in the tank. Alrighty, well, there's a big open gas tank hole. This is the old float, that's the new float. I usually like to compare pieces, make sure they're the same, and then I'll just put the new one on. It's got a new seal that sits inside the edge of the tank there, and there's the new sending unit. The old one was coming out. It actually was the fuel line hose here that was getting in the way of trying to pull this straight up. And then once I got to the top, I hit the filter on the bottom, the strainer, trying to pull it out, and it was getting stuck again. But once I realized what it was, I just gave it a tug and it popped up. So now I'm going to sit this O-ring underneath the edge where it's supposed to be sitting, drop this into the tank without forgetting to put the float on there, and go from there. Let's see, maybe I can set it down and you guys can kind of watch. There's not very many places to put a camera in here. That's going to be the best. And I know that this is not the neatest and cleanest, and probably not the preferred way to do this type of work. But thinking realistically, I don't have much of a choice here. I mean, I've got to get this thing running. I need it for work. I'm working today, in fact. So, you know, what alternative do I have? If I want to drop the tank, sure, I can drop the tank. There's the float working. I can drop the tank, yes. But it's very time consuming to do that. And the thing that I'm concerned with is, because of the number of kilometers on this van, the age of it, I'm thinking that as soon as I try that, I'm going to run into all sorts of unforeseen problems. Gas tank straps, or who knows what, rusted bolts, right? And I don't have time to dick around with it. I just need it running, and I need it running today. So, you know, as far as I could tell, this was the quickest and easiest way to solve this problem. There we go. It actually bottomed out on the bottom of the tank, and it's spring-loaded, so when I'm pressing it down, it's fighting back here. That's kind of interesting. Must be how it draws all the fuel from the bottom of the tank. There, the seal needs to sit a little higher. Alright, I'm just going to work on getting this seal to sit properly with this sending unit, and then I'll show you the finished product. Okay, I just made the final connection. I'm going to tuck everything away nice and neat. I just want to make sure I'm not going to have any leaks or anything like that. So just so you guys have a reference here, you can't really see it, but This van got dropped off from the tow truck in the driveway at 1:30. I ran to the parts store, came back here. By the time I got started, it was 2 o'clock. It is now 3:15. It's an hour and 15 minutes to put in a new fuel pump, compared to God only knows how many hours to actually go ahead and change the damn thing with dropping the tank. How about that? I don't even hear the fuel pump. Holy shit, that's quiet. That's nice. The other one sounded like a tank. It was so loud. Well, I'm very pleased now. Now I'm gonna patch this hole and close it up and be done with this pig. Fantastic. Wonder if the gauge is working for how much gas I got in this thing. It's got just about the same that it had before. I suppose I can cheat and check it one other way. I don't know what the result will be on the gauge, but it's either going to tell me that it's completely empty or that it's completely full. I'm just going to unplug the receiver or the sender for the gauge cluster there. All it does is measure resistance, and based on that determines where the gauge should be. So or it sits in the middle and doesn't work anyways. I don't know now. It's very bouncy. You guys, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but it's not holding steady. It's really vibrating around. I'm just going to go plug that in and see if I get a change. So you guys some balance on the steering wheel. I don't know if there was a change, but it's plugged back in. Alrighty, I got it all strapped up, and now I'm going to begin to close this floor back, and then just put a patch over it so it's hidden, and that's that. That was definitely a lot easier than fucking around under the van all day in the rain, of all things. It might not have been so bad if it wasn't raining, but that's just a bitch. Okay, well, I'm going to close this up, and I'll just show you the finished product. So. Thanks for watching. Well, now I'm just going to take her for a little test drive. Fires right up. Hey, it doesn't bog down when I hit the gas now. Before it was really bad for that. It would bog down like it's got no power and all sorts of stuff, and I just assumed that it wasn't running the way it should be, but it seems to me that it must have been a poor fuel pump and then it was on its way out. Well, maybe this is a good thing then, a blessing in disguise, so to speak. I'm happy that it worked. Very, very good. Now the question is, will I be able to brake torque? I doubt it, but the van doesn't die. That's awesome. Sweet. And it lives to see another couple of 100,000 miles, kilometers.